Hey there, my name is Brett McLaughlin and I am the lead instructor in Sybex's course that will help you pass the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate exam. Now that's a mouthful and it's sort of appropriate because this is a tough exam. I know a lot of people that have had to take it multiple times to pass it. So why would you even take an exam like this? Really, there's a couple of reasons that this could be a really important part of your career path. First and foremost, if you are an experienced AWS professional, there's really no reason you shouldn't take the exam. The time you're going to have to spend getting prepared to take it is significantly less because of all your practical experience, and it's a nice credential to have. But if you're relatively new to the AWS world, it's a great way to get started. Now, and I'll say this a number of times, it's not going to be everything you need to go land that next gig. It's just not. But it is a significant part of that. And by getting prepared to pass the CSA, you're actually going to learn a ton of the skills that you need in a real-world AWS-driven job. In addition to that, you're going to get a hold of some concepts that honestly don't come practically unless you go out of your way. How does cost modeling work? What does TCO, the mysterious total cost of ownership that AWS is always talking about, really mean? These are going to impress a lot of people, but more than that, they're going to help you talk to people that are potentially interviewing you or managing you with an authority that you just can't get if you don't know that information. So honestly, if you're going to be working with AWS, you should get certified, particularly in this exam. There's no good reason not to. But where do you begin? There are a lot of certification exams that AWS will give you. There's the Certified Cloud Practitioner, there's the CSA, there's one called the Certified SysOps, there's a developer exam. There are a ton of them. Honestly, my answer here is a little bit different than you might expect. I recommend everybody begin with the Certified Cloud Practitioner exam. And you'll notice that Sybex does not have a course for that. There's a reason. It's pretty easy. Honestly, if you have any technical experience with AWS, you can pass the CCP on your first try. So why take it? Because it's going to give you a feel for how these exams work, and that's really important. Now, once you pass the CCP, you should absolutely look at the CSA next. The CSA is the fundamental underpinnings of almost everything else. And the SysOps exam, which takes you into more detail onto the administrative side, as well as the Developer Associate exam, which goes more on the programming side, both build on concepts in the Certified Solutions Architect exam. For that reason, you should always consider taking the CSA right after you take your Certified Cloud Practitioner. And you get 2 Cloud Practitioner certifications out of it. That's a good deal. Now, when it comes to preparing for this exam, there's a lot of things that you can do. You can take a video course like that Sybex provides, or you can read a book. You can take exams that are practicable up on the web. You can read blogs. There are a ton of different things you can do. And honestly, some of those are more effective than others. In my experience, the best 2 things you can do is take a video course, and I know that sounds self-serving, but I'll come back to it, and pick up a good exam prep book. That's because honestly, just reading a bunch of text about the exam is tough. It's dense, and it's really hard to know what to pay attention to. Part of why I'm standing here and why we've spent significant resources to give you a good Sybex video course is because you don't just need information. You need someone with experience to tell you this is important and this isn't. And honestly, just reading a book won't give you that. Part of writing a book is taking the humanity out of that, honestly. You're just sitting there at a table reading words. By putting somebody on camera, we believe that it is helpful to connect with that instructor, and in my case, for me to be able to cut through some of the BS. To tell you, you know what, you could spend hours learning this, it's not going to help you. Maybe you want to do it for your job, maybe you want to do it for your own sake, but it's not going to help you pass the exam. And then second, you need to pick up a good exam prep book. As the case may be, I've actually written some of those, and they actually were how I prepared to take these exams. By answering question after question after question, you get good at understanding how to answer the types of questions that AWS gives you. So in my opinion, and I've passed this exam a few times and met with a lot of other people and talked with them as well, I think you need a good exam tutorial video, and I think you need a good exam prep book. Those 2 together are a very powerful combination. So let's say you've made the commitment to take the CSA. You've begun the journey. And it is a journey because this is not something you can do really quickly. I don't know anybody who's decided on Monday to take the CSA and on Friday has passed it. So what do? You have to budget time. And it's not cramming time, it's persistent and consistent time over probably weeks and maybe even a month or two. Maybe you're really busy in your job. If you would allocate 10, 15 minutes a day, you'd be in great shape. And I use that number on purpose because we've gone out of our way to break up the course into short segments. My attention span is that of a gnat, honestly. And I'm going to assume that about you. So 10 minutes is a long time to listen to someone. We're going to try and keep it at that length so you can digest something, maybe do a couple of questions out of the prep book, and then move on with your day. What you'll find is that if you do that over and over again, 5, 6 days a week, it's like learning an instrument. You just get better. And every time you go to sleep, that information sinks in and builds. But you have to budget the time. Waiting till the last minute is a surefire way to fail. And our video and our book is not going to help you with that. But we will help you if you'll make the commitment to use us as a tool all along your journey. Now, when it comes to actually walking into the exam, there's a lot of information you have to know. And we're going to try and go out of our way to point out real tips, real practical things you can do when you walk into the exam. And that's part of why I think it's important to not just rely on reading a blog or a website, because we've taken the exam, and I can tell you personally what made me nervous and what didn't. So in addition to actually learning the material and approaching it multiple times, because we will take multiple passes over much of this, we're going to really give you practical tips. Literally things like walking into the test room and writing down a particular set of things that I'll tell you about in the course that will help you get a number of questions right that are really honestly pretty tough. So what's going to trip you up? What in the real world is going to give you problems on the exam? Honestly, it's not so much that you forgot to study a particular topic, and if you've budgeted your time well, you're going to go in prepared. It's actually over-preparing with the wrong material. Now, what in the world do I mean by that? One of the approaches we've taken with this course in particular is we have really focused on passing the exam. Now, that should be obvious, right? It's a course on passing the exam. But I'll be frank, there are a lot of other options out there, and it seems like there's as much time spent on cool projects and things you can do as there is on actual exam prep. Now, that's great. And in fact, in this course, there are a lot of times where I'm going to recommend you check something out after you pass the exam. But here's my assumption, and I think it's a really important one. I'm assuming you don't want to do this all the time just for fun. In other words, I'm assuming you're a human being with interests outside of just this. So rather than bogging you down with an extra 4, 6, 8 hours of interesting, cool exercises that are worth your time, but after you pass the exam, we're going to try and be laser focused. What do you need to pass this exam? Because once you pass it, you are going to be able to either get a better job, get a job that you don't have, or maybe just do your job in a more efficient way. And the time savings then are where you should experiment. For that reason, it's very pragmatic and honest, right? If it's not on the exam, we're not going to cover it. And I'll tell you explicitly when I'm skipping something that you might want to come back and know. Now, if you're ready, if you think that this is the kind of course you want, if you feel like your time is valuable and you really want to be laser focused, sharp on passing the CSA, then I'd recommend you check out the Sybex Certified Solutions Architect Associate Exam Review course. You can get a free trial, and one other thing that's pretty cool. If you use this course and you fail the exam, and let's be honest, it happens to all of us, you call us and we will make sure you have access to the course until you pass. That's a guarantee that means that this course, and me, virtual as I may be, will be with you until I can say congratulations, you've passed it, you're now a CSA.